Gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers. It is Tuesday, February 26th at 11:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10:01 a.m. here in Costa Rica. You're watching the Loshak in the Bag Show. My name is Jimmy the Bag. My partner, Lodos Loshak, the legend, Lodos Loshak, is taking a little break and not with us today. And I know a ton of people are missing him. Bob Ruby asking, is Peter back on the show yet? Bada Boom saying, Pete, Pete, Pete. Let me tell you guys, nobody misses Pete more than I. I would long to look into his mustache. Also, I'm grinding out these cards, and it's an absolute battle. And it's tough with this workload. So don't think I'm loving being here solo. I miss longingly looking to that gorgeous mustache of my partner, Lodos Loshak. We have a ton of work to do today. We have Drew Martin joining us in 38 minutes. We have a giant NHL card, of which I went 0-2 yesterday. Man, I'm in a bad run in NHL in February. We're going to have the numbers coming up post about a week after Pete left. So we'll have that up to that. So when about a week after Pete left, I was up 20.9 units, and now it's single digits and not looking good. I see some nice spots on this card, but disappointing stuff. And taking these big favorites, -1.5, two of them yesterday, really blew up in my face. They both end up winning in a shootout. Also, the first quarters got me right in the old drink hole, right in the bottom mouth, splashed the tonsils. 0-3 on first quarters, 3-1 on sides. So I go 4-4 in NCAA basketball. I was 4-2 with just the Kansas State game left, but the over in Kansas State both lost 4-4. 3-4 in NBA, 0-2 in NHL. A disappointing day, a disappointing month. And the Friday before I left to LA, I had a nice $900 winning day. I put myself back in a decent situation for the month and on the year, and now it's just been a mess. And it must change immediately. First off, shout out to all the cappers in the chat. We got Trot Wham in the house, TJ in the house, Joe Ramirez, Nutflush Allen, Bob Ruby, Matt Randall. Almost hit that taint parlay, the over but not the side. I'll tell you what, Matt Randall, there was some differencing of opinions in the game yesterday, and I just stayed off. If we're not all going to be on the same page with the taint parlay of the day, I'm not going to be on it. I trust Matt Randall implicitly. We got Vinny Cornell, Bada Boom, Vegas Stacker, Christopher Hogan, Allison, Rico, Money. Liking the Penguins tonight at +125. Penguins play the Jackets 3 times over the next 12 days. This is a battle to get into the playoffs, but I'm very disappointed that they didn't add a top-notch forward to this playoff push. We got You Got Moss, Vegas Gun, whom I love dearly, in the house, Daryl Lyles, Robbie Tagaloa, Serious Business, King Rail. Detroit moneyline max bet. Yeah, I had Detroit -2, but 76ers moneyline max bet. Man, that Sixers spot was a mistake. I mean, the Pelicans still covered, but I had them first quarter and they got killed. LBA Sports says, Jimmy, you always come back. Gio Mercedes says, bounce back today, Jimmy. Bada Boom says, appreciate you, Jimmy. You know, Bada Boom, and I want you to know that I appreciate you guys wanting Pete back. Don't get me wrong. You can fill this chat up with saying how much you love Pete. That would make me happy. In no way am I saying, oh, stop mentioning it. That means the world to me, and Pete means the world to me. So don't think for a second I don't want you filling this chat up with how much we love Pete. So feel free to keep hammering that nonstop. Shout out to Trainer Tone. Shout out to 49ers for Life. Shout out to Carlos Peroj and his cheesy balls. Shout out to Ralph Portwando. Ralph, we need some totals. We got 3 games, and I really like the Raptors tonight. I could have got him at 3.5 about 2 hours ago, and I didn't make the bet. Brad Summersell says Duke rolls. Yes, let's Ron Lofton, 5-2 last night thanks to the Clips. I had the Clips late. Shout out to Joe Wynn, says, what's going on, Jimmy? Repping the 6 hat. You know I am, and I'm going to be taking them today. Drew Daddy says, Pete's done. I'm mad at him. Don't be. Don't be, because that would be news to me. And I'm telling you that straight fact. If that's not the way we see it right now. So we're gonna be getting more information. Carlos Bro saying we love Pete. Listen, I long to peer into that gorgeous mustache. Okay, we have a ton of work to do, so let's just get right into it. Let's bang out this NHL card fast. Then we got to drop into 3 big basketball games. Well, 2 big basketball games, and then Magic Knicks. Then we're going to briefly discuss the Lakers' playoff chances. We're going to break into that. And then we are going to talk NCAA basketball for the last little bit. So we have a ton of work to do, and I'm going to need a little bit of guidance. Trainer Tone liking OKC money line tonight. You know, nothing but Jeff Joseph liking Islander Flames under tonight. That's an interesting spot. Fred Gialli says, Jimmy told you to fade the Spurs. You were bang on, Fred. Bang on. You know, I thought we had a really nice read on the card, and then I go first quarter crazy. It's crazy that I take these first quarters in NBA comfortably, but first periods give me horrifying anxiety in NHL. I got to get my shit together. Trainer Tone liking Wisconsin money line and full game under. Ron Crawford also liking Oklahoma City. Anna Merrick says morning low bag squad. Can't wait to hear your breakdown of the big UFC event this weekend. Okay, let's get to work. I just want to take one more look. One other thing about this NHL card yesterday. We don't have some of our big NHL cappers that will be joining us very soon. We're hoping to see Gate Pasquis, Richie Rich, but Jeff Joseph liking the Islanders Flames under tonight. And we already saw Freddie Fortune giving out the Islanders as his spot. He gave that out last night. Base Kniff says parlaying Flyers money line and Caps money line. 49ers fight says, Jimmy, let's do NBA first since it's only 3 games. No, we got to break down NHL. I'm just keeping the same system that Lodol's always had. So that's what I'm up to. Drew Daddy, also Iowa OSU under, Texas A&M plus 11.5. Okay, let's get to, in the Devo Lane saying FSU let me down. Anna Merrick says, Jimmy, I cannot believe how hard the Lightning choked. That was extremely bothersome. Oli Gagnon says Montreal in the bounce back game, like that spot. I don't, because I expect Antti Niemi to be in goal, and I expect him to get lit up. So I'm actually going to back the Red Wings in that spot. But I can understand you expecting a bounce-back spot. But, I mean, they've lost 6 of 8. They're just playing bad hockey. Mr. Gokster also on the Flames. Islanders under 6. And listen, 49ers for life. I'm extremely excited about this NBA card. And so I want to get through the NHL as fast as possible. Also, I'm hoping to have Ski Profit on the Late Show. I've got to connect with my man, Ski. Devo Lane and FSU didn't show up. Man, I just wish I had jumped on that Notre Dame first half. That was the very first breakdown of Max's card yesterday. Tom Marino says, Flyers, still bad. We're extremely lucky to come back against Pittsburgh. We were at the Parlor on Saturday night. It's 3-1 Pittsburgh. 3.5 minutes left. All the guys jumped on the under in play. Once it was 1-1 with a few minutes left in the second. Trotwam got the under 6 at plus 178. Noli Knows got the under 6.5 at plus 120. It was 3-1 with 3 minutes left, and it was raining, and the ice was a mess. And that was one of the worst beats I've ever seen. Freestyle Fakiri says, oh boy, Jimmy fading Montreal again. Hey, you know what? You know I am. Rico Money saying, Flames not covering the puck line. That is in Nassau Coliseum. Drew Daddy says, LSU have been in way too many close games. Last 2 games in overtime. Hammer Texas A&M. That's very, very interesting. Matt Randall says, Knicks plus 8 looks tasty. Does it? Does it? Another game without DeAndre Jordan? You really think Mitchell Robinson's capable of stepping up like this? Lamont Williams, my max bet, Kansas full game under cashed. It sure did. Shout out to Lamont Williams. You've been crushing those situations tonight. I just feel a little hesitant about making moves in NHL, and that really bothers me. I am going to take advantage of some bad teams. And Vegas Gun saying, shout out to DJ Big Boss, Cali video killed it. Yeah, we're going to get our social media team to pump that out. Big shout out to my man DJ Big Boss. What a great guy. Raymond Scott says, was that when you were at Buffalo Wild Wings? No, that was at the Parlor on Saturday night. That was the live play on the outdoor game between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia in the rain with that terrible ice. 3-1. We make the live play with 2 minutes left in the first when it's tied 1-1. Plus 678 Trotwam gets on the under 6. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's just going to make me angry. Let's turn this anger into good capping. Let's roll. Sharks at Bruins. I've got Aaron Dell against Tuukka Rask. I was surprised to see Dell being listed. We'll talk more about that. Sharks, third in goals per game at 3.62. The Bruins are starting to score more, 15th in goals per game at 2.95. That dropped. They're still second in goals allowed at 2.52. Second in power play, 26.4%. Both these teams have great special teams. Noli No says, Jimmy, that's a taste of the underworld there. Can take some of the worst beats. That really, it was extremely bothersome. And Lamont Williams coming in saying, my max bet today, Bowling Green -6. My man Lamont's been smashing. Jeff Joseph said, Jimmy, a lot of teams coming off an outdoor game are flat in their next game. I agree. I absolutely agree. And my man Flip says, ironies, we were outdoors watching it too, sort of. That's about as upset as I've been. And Kevin Pine, I see Jones expected for the Sharks. That's going to help a lot. Tom Marino says Simmons was a key part of Philadelphia. There are reports Drew and other players lobbied to keep him. You know, I was surprised that they got rid of Simmons, even though he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next year. If you want to make any kind of push, and they didn't get much for him. Okay, let's talk Sharks, Bruins. Gustav Nyquist makes his Sharks debut. 16 goals, 33 assists, 62 games this year. They now have 9 players with 40 or more points. They're 3 points behind first place Calgary. Calgary has a game in hand. Sharks coming off 5-3 win at Detroit on Sunday night. This is the final game of a 4-game road trip. They're 2-1 so far. They're 9-2-1 over their past 12. Jin Rummy says got Bruins at -106. I think that is the play. Erik Karlsson missed Sunday's game with a groin injury. You have to think that these Sharks are ready to go home. Britchie Rich, beautiful, says Boston 5-0 last 5 head-to-head. Give me Boston off of a home loss. That was a 2-1 shootout loss at St. Louis on Saturday night. They're 9-0-4 on a 13-game point streak. Yeah, makes a ton of sense to me. Kim Rail says, can someone tell me if the new player the Knights got is good? He's very good. But $9.5 million over 8 years? Not a chance. Not a chance. I couldn't be more shocked that this incredible brain trust, whom I love, especially George McPhee, ex-Vancouver Canucklehead, would make that kind of investment in the Stone shocking to me. Stone's very good, but $9.5 million over 8 years. We'll talk in 6 years, King, and you, it's an ugly contract. Drew Daddy says, hopped on Bowling Green, hella quick. Nasty Nate saying Boston is the play. I think that you guys are absolutely right. Team Money saying, I like Boston here. Mr. Goxer said, Sharks were pissed last time they played like 10 days ago. Sharks have a reason to play. And you were right. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep my cool here. I'm talking a little too fast, still dealing with some health issues. Last week, the Bruins beat the Sharks 6-5 in overtime. They still have no Pasternak. Torrey Krug missed Saturday's game against the Blues due to a lower body injury, but was back at practice. Kevin Miller missed practice with an upper body injury, but he's expected to go tonight. Rostradamus says it perfectly. Stone is good and expensive. I was beside myself to see them give him that much money, but he's a good player and supposedly a good character guy to have in the dressing room. Mr. Gokster says, I'm not going to sleep on the Sharks here. Kevin Pine says, I agree with Gokster. Big revenge spot. The game was wild, and the Sharks should have won. Hey, I was on the Sharks -1.5 here. In that Sharks game. And they were up 5-4 late. I needed an empty goal for a big casher, and instead, the Bruins came back and win. You got Moss says, San Jose is just so damn talented. Yes, my future plays with them look very good. And focusing on one division is something we should all I really think it's the best way to handle futures, and that's what I've done here. Tomer says, I'd lean under in Boston. San Jose Sharks have stepped up defensively. Rask is playing better. I'm going to need a little bit more time. Fred Gialli saying, revenge game for the Sharks, leaning Sharks under. I do think the Bruins are the play, though. I really do think the Bruins are the play in this last game of a 4-game road trip. I really do. And I think I'm just going to back it with you guys who are on the Bruins. There's going to be people on the Sharks every game for the rest of the year. They're going to be working in Gustav Nyquist. Do they want to go home? Oh, it's minus. Wow, Gin Rummy, you got a great number. Wow. Wow, Gin Rummy. Great, great, great work. I don't have time to do this, but I'm going to quickly look at. Oh, wow. Open yesterday at -107. Last night it was -108. 3:30 in the morning, -112, then -110. Now -125. I don't know if I'm going to take the Bruins at -25, but I like them. Unbelievable. Got Sharks -0.5 at +170. Wow. Tomarina says Sharks have looked good against Eastern Conference teams. They dominated Pittsburgh both times they played. And Mr. Goxa says, I like the over better than the side here. So I don't have enough time to spend this much on this game. But let's just quickly look at the totals here in this Shark spot. It's a little bit juiced to the over 6. Joey Jackson's Bruins are 21-6 in the last 27 games on 2 days rest. I think the Bruins are the play here. But I'm hesitant to make a move. I'm just going to leave it as a lean right now. Maybe I come back and hammer that. Mr. Ghost says, yeah, I expect the line to come down a bit here. And Adis Ababa says, what do you think about Knicks Magic over? I can't wait to talk about that game. I can't wait to talk about this NBA card. So let's get through this NHL stuff as fast as possible. Next up, we have Flames at Islanders. I have Smith against Thomas Greiss. Smith, 18-11-2, 2.95 goals against average, .895 save percentage, but he is playing better. And America says Sharks piss me off. I can't peg them every time I'm off them. They win by 6 when I'm on them. They lose in overtime. This game will take place at Nassau Coliseum. We already know that people like the Islanders. There's 2 things that bother me here. Flames starting out a road trip by traveling across the country. Islanders starting out a homestand by traveling across the country. No team made deadline moves. Flames are beginning a 3-game road trip. Excuse me. That's my fault about the Flames. They started their 3-game road trip Sunday with their 5th straight win against Ottawa. Okay, so that makes me like the Flames spot maybe a tiny bit more than the Islanders. But I'm not going to get in the way of the Islanders here. You got Moss says, hammer the Flyers minus 1.5 plus 175. I do like the Flyers here. And shout out to Dom Ricci, 4-1 last night in NHL. Went with the Islanders. First thing, Ladd and Hickey are back. You know what? Hickey is not coming back. That's been announced. That's been announced by Trotzy. Hickey's not coming back. I've been waiting for Ladd to come back for a week. So they have not announced that Ladd won't come back. But what I've read is that Hickey will not be back in the lineup tonight. Jeff Joseph saying, Jimmy, Islanders' best under team the last few months. They have been. But I do not take unders when the Flames are involved. Lamont, even though, and especially coming off, they are coming off that 2-1 game. Lamont Williams says, Jimmy, what about the Bruins over? That total is tricky, and I don't want to let recency bias from their 6-5 game get in the way, and I have allowed it a little bit. I think that's a bit of a tricky spot. Tom Reno says, Islanders have played well, but I don't see them as contenders. Calgary is clearly the better team. So I'm going to stay off this Flames-Islanders spot at this point. Flames looking to win their first division title since 2005-06. This is the first of a back-to-back for the Flames. They face the Devils tomorrow night. They're without James Neal, who's been bad all year, 5 goals, 10 assists. The Islanders finished their Western Canadian road trip with a 4-0 shutout of Vancouver, but they lost 4-2 to Calgary, 4-3 to Edmonton. Richie Rich says New York Islanders is my play. Low public, but favored. I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. Don Reed says it's in the papers this morning. They both practiced and are both playing. Okay, I'll pop up a couple things that I've read quickly here about our man Hickey, because they've been practicing for over a week now, and I've been waiting for them to come in, and I keep hearing that they're not coming in. But yeah, you're right. Hickey is now off of the... Wow, he's now off, and he's expected to suit up. Wow. So because I have here from yesterday night, Hickey is back, but won't play against Calgary tonight. He is close to return, listed as day-to-day, but you're absolutely right, Dom. Shout out. 30-year-old, hasn't played since December 17th, but will be in the lineup, skating on a pairing with Devin Taves. Great call, Dom. Good work. Telly18, great hockey capper, says Calgary on the road. Jimmy trends under. I agree with that, but I'm a little uncomfortable. Stelly says 56% under 6.5 on the road. Oh, if this was a 6.5, I'd be all over it. But it's a 6. And that's why I'm a little uncomfortable. Let's get to the first play on this card that I will be jumping on. I will be taking the Flyers. I know they're coming off an outdoor game, but that's an outdoor game where they had a wildly impressive comeback in front of 70,000 people at Lincoln Field. 2 goals in less than 3 minutes. Elliott's back and looking good. Riemsdyk scored a big goal. Voracek tied it up late. Radko Gudas returning after serving his 2-game suspension. The Sabres also are a team that Brandon Montour making his debut in a Sabres uniform, but I'm not going to trust the Sabres down the stretch here. This is a 3rd game in 4 nights for the Sabres. Richie Rich saying the public moving towards Calgary. King Rail says Sabres game has to be overplayed, right, Jimmy? Both teams, they played Philadelphia. It was high scoring. If you're just looking at the last few games, but Phil Housley is adamant about them the Sabres playing a more conservative, defensive type style. And with the way Elliott's playing, I can agree with that. And you know I'll be doing a big Kentucky Derby show, Jeff Joseph. I'll be all over that. Don't worry about that. Lamont Williams says, what's going on with Peter? I'm getting scared. We expect Peter to be back, Lamont. We'll be getting, I promise to have more information by the end of the week about that. But I am going to take the Flyers -1.5. I can understand what you're thinking, King, but I don't take over 6.5s. Now, if you did take an over 6.5, you'd be getting plus money, but that's just not something I do. I will be taking the Flyers on the point spread here at -1.5. Let's get there right now. Getting some nice numbers here, and it's going up. It's going up, so money coming in, a little bit of money coming in on Buffalo, but I like this a lot. Getting a +171 at Pinnacle and Heritage, and I'm taking it. Flyers -1.5 at +171 here. All right, let's keep rolling right along. Senators at Capitals. Here is the first play on the card that I already jumped on this morning. Drew Daddy says, Jimmy said that for the last 3 weeks. Yeah, I have. I have been saying it. I'm not feeding you bullshit. Raymond Scott says, looks like Sharps have hit Buffalo strong. That's the way, not strong, but certainly money coming in on them. I am not going to. And Dom says, since I changed my 6.5 velocity, I'm 4-1 on the over 6.5s. Yeah, they've been hitting. Mr. Gokster says, what can we expect from Columbus going forward? I need to watch them. And I will watch them tonight. I'll watch that Penguins game. That's my situation right now, Gokster, is I just need to watch them. So I expect that it's going to take a little bit of time to get comfortable with Duchesne and Zingle. And that's, Mally Mal says, Caps puck line. Jai Poker, my man Jai Poker said, it's just right over there. And I don't make decisions. That's not my call, but I'm staring at Loshak's sign right there. Okay. Now, I made 2 plays here in the morning already on this game, and I like them both very, very much. Let's see if I beat a line move. I'm on the Capitals -1.5, and I'm on the Capitals under 6.5. I'm on both spots here. I got the -1.5 at -110 at 5 dimes, and the Ottawa-Washington under 6.5 at -115 at Heritage. Some people don't believe that the unders and the 1.5s are correlated, but I think the 6.5s are just fine. Richie Rich says, Washington's second home game, 5-0 last 5 head-to-head, half to pound Washington in this spot. I agree. And my man, G. Moore, Robert Gilmore says, no. Listen, if Pete had been given the boot, I would tell you guys that. Okay? So, Ralph Parwando, I'm gonna figure out, unless anybody else knows, I'm gonna figure that out. But please, by all means, you can fill this chat up with how much you love Pete, how much you miss him. That's great. I like seeing that. Capitals did not make any last-minute moves. They got Hagelin from the Kings, Jensen from the Red Wings. They came back from a longest road trip of the whole year, so it was a tough spot. They do win in overtime. Ottawa traded away its top 3 goal scorers. I'm staying off them at this point. Raymond Scott says, yes, Ottawa, Washington under. The Senators have scored 1 goal in their last 3 games, lost 4 straight, 6 of 7. Okay, Kings at Hurricanes. Here is another spot. I'm on the Hurricanes, -1.5. Kings got me yesterday. They got me. Hurricanes are playing spectacular hockey. I do not expect the Kings to get me again. -1.5 at +100 at BetOnline. This Hurricanes team is playing spectacularly well. Oh, sorry. Let me get that. Sorry. Here we go. +1.5. -1.5 at +100. Hurricanes are playing great, great hockey. If they slip in to this playoff spot, they're going to be dangerous. They're going to be dangerous. They're coming off 3-0 win at Dallas on Saturday, won 8-10. Jordan Stahl comes back, and Brendan Moore says, I can't say enough about him. He was great. Obviously, his conditioning for game rise isn't all that great, so I couldn't use him as much as I would like to. He 14 minutes. He's their primary player in the face-off circle. He got an assist. Carolina is now a completely healthy group. Wow, Kissy B on Ottawa money line tonight. You know, Kissy B, as soon as they get more comfortable with their situation, with all these AHL players coming up, I do think there's some value here. I think, and Richie Rich is Carolina all the way, Jimmy. Like I said, lots of chalk today. Yeah, it's something I've been kind of trying to stay away from, and I have been all year, but I do believe in this, and I thought it was yesterday too, so we'll see how it bangs out. The Kings, so if you look at this defense. It's horrifyingly ugly, especially without Alec Martinez. This is a final game of a 4-game road trip. I think they want to go home. I'm on the Hurricanes, -1.5 at +100. Remmo says Mrazek confirmed for the Kings. Yeah, I've got Mrazek, 14, 12, and 3, 2.65 goals against average, 902 save percentage, 3 shutouts, but he is improving. He is playing better. Here's a spot that I just have to watch. I can understand people taking the Penguins. They step up in situations like this, but I am going to watch. And Kissy B, you know what? We never try to talk people off big boy dog bets. You got a huge dog spot. And so, and Gate Pass Key told me I was nuts, saying that the Senators will have value in about 10 days to 2 weeks. And Torino says Kings were lucky against Tampa. They hit the post repeatedly up 2-0. It was a very, very disappointing game. Not a doubt that I was extremely angry watching it. Pens, Jackets. Pens, 6th-ranked power play. Jackets, 4th-ranked penalty killing. Now this Jackets team is going all in with this group. They picked up Duchesne, Single, McQuaid, and Kincaid. They're coming off back-to-back shutout victories. They beat the Senators 3-0 on Friday, beat the Sharks 4-0 on Saturday, and on Saturday, they saw Duchesne get their first goal. That's an impressive team to beat 4-0. Columbus, also missing defenseman Ryan Murray, still week to week. He last played a week ago. A goal, 29 points, 56 games this season. Now, the Penguins did something. They picked up Bukestad and McCann and Tanner Pearson. Then they shipped Tanner Pearson over to the Knicks for Goodbranson. Goodbranson is a good character defenseman, and he's very tough, but his Corsi numbers rank him amongst the worst defensemen in the league. So he is going to be able to fight for you and give you some big hits, but if you're playing this guy more than 12 minutes a game, you're in trouble. His Corsi numbers are atrocious. And the reason why I can't back this Pens team here, even though I'd like to on the plus line, no Letang and no Dumoulin. Both injured Saturday. Pittsburgh had to make the Goodbranson trade and then had to add Chris Weidman from Florida. They're picking up Corsi bums. So Raymond Scott says Penguins own Columbus Blue Jackets. Jansen says ride the Blue Jackets momentum. I'm just going to stay off here. The Penguins were very unhappy with their 4-0 loss against San Jose, and then they blew that 2-goal lead against Philadelphia. The Jackets are probably the play here. They probably are the play with the Pens missing these guys in the lineup. They really are. Those are two very important defensemen that they're missing. What would you get? God, -1.5, a +170, +163. They're working in new players. I'm just going to stay off it tonight, but I'm going to add a big L here to a lean. After breaking this game down, I have to have a lean towards the Blue Jackets. They're just missing too much. Adam Lastman says Pens beat the Jackets. And Jose Contreras says Pete in rehab. No, he's not in rehab. He does not use drugs. Richie Rich says Pitt, this is the spot after being embarrassed. +136, 40%. I'm pounding Pitt in this spot. Pedigree means something to me. And yeah, I can understand that. And he's saying Bob and net, but Bobrovsky's been playing well of late. He was a 3rd star of the week last week in NHL. Don Ricci says Dallas picked up Zuccarello, only improves their offense. Zuccarello, broken arm. Surgery, out for 4.5 weeks at a minimum. Let's move on to Canadiens at Red Wings. Here's a spot I am jumping on. Now, I expect Niemi to be in goal. Maxwell Smart in the house. I expect Niemi to be in goal, but it's Niemi versus Bernier. Couple bums. Thank you for stopping by, Lamont. Respect. I am expecting goals here in this game. Canadiens at Red Wings, and they're hanging just a 5.5. They better still be hanging a 5.5. I'm going to jump on the over 5.5 first and foremost here. Oh my God, I missed it. What an asshole I am. What an asshole. Unbelievable. Why did I not jump on that this morning? Ugh. Oh God, that hurts. Oh my God, that hurts. Oh God. Okay, I'm not gonna let that anger me too much. Not a lot's going right for me right now. God damn it. Fuck. I'm gonna jump on the Red Wings +117 at home. Oh God, I'm angry. Oh, Howard is confirmed. Thank God, Rem. Well, you know what? I guess I like the over a little bit worse with Howard in net. I don't want to rem most, not if it's going to be minus 140. Okay, let's keep moving. Canadiens, Red Wings. So Wings dealt Jensen to Washington, Gustav Nyquist to San Jose. They bring up Madison Bowie, who they got in the Capitals trade. I expect him. He's going to make his debut tonight. Blashill has switched up his lines. He's moving Athanasiou from wing to center. And he's going to have Philip Zadina, who is their 6th overall pick, on one wing, and Tyler Bertuzzi on the other. If Athanasiou can be, he's capable of being a very good center in the NHL. Also, they've moved Helm onto the first line with Larkin and Mantha. Wings are coming off his 5-3 loss at home to the Sharks on Sunday. They don't have Vanek in the lineup. But this Canadiens team playing second half of a back-to-back, they did outplay the Devils last night. They outshot them 35-22. The Devils are bad. Montreal is a healthy squad. They've now lost 6 of 8. I am with you, Anjin Rummy, on the Wings as a home dog at plus 117, and I'm going to stay off the total at this point. Oli Gagnon says Price must be in net tonight, must win for the Habs. I think that's not time yet to play him in a back-to-back. We know he's been dealing with lower body injuries throughout the year, some back spasms. I guess we'll see, but I do not expect him to be in net tonight. I would be a little surprised. Now let's move on to Predators at Blues. I went back and forth in this spot. Predators on the second half of a back-to-back after beating the Oilers 3-2 in a shootout at home last night. They did not look very good. I expected them to step up. They've lost 3 straight games to the Blues. Simmons appears to make his debut for the Predators tonight. 24 goals in each of his previous at least 24 goals in each of his previous 5 games. Just 16 goals, 11 assists this year. Only 4 points in his last 14 games. Predators also acquired Granlund. I know I said some bad things about Michael Granlund, but he actually has had a fine year. 49 points, 15 goals, 34 assists. They already picked up Brian Boyle and Cody McLeod. They need a soft hand centerman to help their power play, and that's not what they've done. They've got Simmons, who's going to be in front of the net, but not Simmons. Okay, just watching Maxwell Smart, loving that he's breaking down college basketball on this card. Nashville is dealing with a ton of injuries to depth forwards, Ronaldo, Smith, Salamaki, and defenseman Dan Hamhuis. Blues are 1-1-1 after this 11-game winning streak, and they have no Braden Shen. That hurts. That's their second-line centerman, originally their first-line centerman. That hurts them. Tarasenko's still rolling. Richie Rich saying St. Louis in a great spot tonight. They are, but I just don't like them without... Oh, and Raymond Scott says, who's in goal? Right now, I expect UC Saros, 14-7-2, 2.70 goals against average, 9-12 save percentage, 2 shutouts, and Jordan Binnington, 14-2-1, 1.70 goals against average, 934 save percentage, and 4 shutouts and 17 career starts. Incredible. I'm off the Predators at Blues right now. Then I feel like the Wild have value against this Jets team that's playing so bad, but I was hoping to get a bigger line than was being offered. 131, 127 a bookmaker is just not enough for a Jets team that's 21-7-4 at home. Jets got Kevin Hayes. That's going to be a big pickup. They made 6 trades, but only Matt Hendricks will help too from a depth perspective. But Jets have struggled 3-5-2 in their last 10 games. Only 25 goals scored. Line A still struggling. It's their defense that's a mess. And this is the reason why I wanted to fade them tonight. We know that Bufflin and Morrow are hurt, but now they've lost Josh Morrissey as well. So they pick up Bogdan Kiselevich and Nathan Beaulieu. And the Sabres got rid of Beaulieu. Remember, Phil Housley's the coach of the Sabres. He knows what defensemen can help a team win, and he didn't need Beaulieu on his side. Wild have won 3 straight, coming off a 2-1 overtime victory over St. Louis. On Sunday, Ryan Donato is rolling. He was in the trade for Charlie Coyle. He's a goal and 3 assists in 3 games. They traded Hendricks to the Jets. They traded Granlund to Nashville. Dubnyk is playing very well. He has a .956 save percentage, 1.32 goals against average in his last 3 games. Mr. Gokster says, I like the Jets here, Jimmy. I think they start to get hot. Not without all these defensemen out of the lineup. And then we have Panthers at Coyotes. Coyotes are playing very good hockey. I could understand backing them, but the Panthers are a team that's rolling right now. Raymond Scott says, I don't mind this price on Minnesota. I don't hate it, but I would like to get a little better. Darcy Kemper rolling for this Coyotes team. They're in a very important 7-game homestand right now. They start off with a very impressive 4-1 win over the Jets. They've now won 6 of 8, 6-1-0 in their last 7 starts. I've got to roll through these games as fast as possible here, and I'm not going to spend too much more time on this spot other than I'm going to skip the Panthers at Coyotes. Bob Taylor says, looking at Wild at plus 130, I get it. Fred Gialli, Blues, max bet for me. I am taking the Golden Knights at -1.5. Jamie Benn and Zuccarello both hurt in the last game. I do not expect either to be in the lineup. That's a big loss. The Stars got they were a gutsy group to beat Chicago 4-3. And, Khudobin made 44 saves or something like that. Oh, Halak is in net tonight, says Lee. Wow, that's important information. Thank you for sharing that with me, Lee. And I've stayed off that spot right there. I am going to take the Golden Knights to beat this Stars team at -1.5. I expect the Stars to be partying. Michael Martin says, I like Vegas -1.5, and as do I. And this is going to be the last game. We got to get into NBA immediately and break some stuff down. So Vegas -1.5. I'm seeing a +135 at Heritage. That's the best that I'm looking at right now. I won't bother line shopping more than that. I'll take Vegas -1.5 at +135. This has been a Jekyll and Hyde night squad, but I do expect them to roll here. Okay, let's keep rolling along, and let's just quickly go over my NHL plays. Okay, right now I have a lean to the Bruins. I'm not making a move. We have found out that Halak will be in net. Flames Islanders, I'm off. I can understand why you guys are on the under, but I'm off. I'm on Flyers -1.5 at +171 against the Sabres. That's a dangerous spot. Market coming towards the Sabres right now. Shout out to Brian B. Out of class. Perfect time. NBA is starting right now. Median Anderson, Denver over is my biggest bet today. I love seeing that. Okay, then Capitals -1.5. And the under 6.5. I'm on both those spots, -110, -115, respectively. I'm on the Hurricanes -1.5 at +100. I have a lean towards the Blue Jackets, but I'm not going to roll with it. I'm on the Red Wings money line at +117. I'm off Predators Blues. I think the Wild are in a nice spot with all of the injuries to the Jets defense and the new players at forward. I might end up making a move on that. And finally, I'm off Panthers Coyotes. Shout out to Brooke Jordan in the house. I'm on the Knights -1.5 at +135. And that's that. Now, let's break into this NBA card. 3-1 on my sides, except 0-3 on first quarter, so a 3-4 spot in NBA. Very, very upsetting. Shout out to Sasha Taljard. We got a great group. Let's break these NBA games down, starting with Magic at Knicks. Magic have now won 8 of 10 after that impressive 113-98 win at the Raptors on Sunday afternoon. That was a Raptors squad resting Kawhi Leonard. Even resting Kawhi Leonard, a very impressive 15-point victory. And that's what they've been doing in their wins. Now, it was a nice rebound from their 110-109 loss to the Bulls. I believe that was Friday. It says Sunday here, but I believe that was Friday. So Orlando's now won 4 consecutive road games, all by at least 15 points. If we can put a line through that Bulls spot, in the past 10 games, Orlando's average margin of victory is 17.3 points. That's enormous. Terrence Ross is heating up at the right time. I mean, I've watched this guy his whole career. We knew that this Magic team needed an extra scorer. We've seen that they have guys who can get hot. Fournier, Gordon. They have a double-double machine in Vucevic. But they need Terrence Ross rolling off the bench. WW Train says, I got all the favorites in NBA. Tom Marino says, Orlando's a great first-quarter team. They come out strong. I'd lean to them first quarter. Knicks off of a huge win. Interesting. That is an interesting spot. Tom Marino says Orlando's a shot to win the division. No doubt. Whale Capper has been on that, and we'll get a huge score if that happens. Shout out to our man, Whale Capper. Michael Martin says Magic are rolling right now. Magic -7. Let's keep rolling here. Vucevic, 7 straight double-doubles. 23 and 12 on Sunday. Averaging 20.6, 12.1 boards. Orlando's won his past 4 trips to New York. Orlando won in New York 115-89 on November 11th. New York snapped their 18-game home losing streak. They played exceptionally well, and I just don't see it continuing. Well, I mean, that's an easy thing to say. I mean, this is a terrible basketball team. I'm not going on a ledge saying that. But Knicks set a season high for points in regulation. They shoot 51%. That's the 4th time all year they've shot over 50% from the field. They're going to be attempting to get consecutive wins for the 2nd time this season. Dotson goes 8 for 13 from 3. He goes for 27. Kevin Knox goes 19 and 10. Dennis Smith Jr. goes 19 and 13. Moutier, 19 points in his 2nd game back from a shoulder injury. Knicks played without DeAndre Jordan, who sat out with a sprained left ankle. He is listed as doubtful in this spot. Matt Randall says Smith Jr. Knox playing very well. I like the 8 points, but the over might be the safer play. I don't know if I can base Kniff or Orlando moneyline. OKC under. Dan B saying Orlando Magic won their last 13 first quarters, at least by the moneyline. Interesting, Danny B. Wow. Brooke Jordan also wondering about Pete. I'm telling you guys, put it all in here in the chat. Show us how much you love Pete. That's what I would love to see. So, but I don't have answers for you, although I hope he's back very, very soon. Whale Capper here. Chip Potter says, Whale, listened to your podcast last night. Nothing like being in a log cabin in snow, firing down on some ball games. Okay, let's quickly look at what we get here in this Magic spot. Let's get to NBA on SBRodds.com and take a quick look at the spreads and totals of this game. Magic at 7.5. I mean, their average margin of victory is enormous. I don't see that as a terrible spot. I am not going to take an over when the market's moving this fast to the under. BetOnline opened this at 218 and it's now at 215 and juiced. So I'm going to stay off of that. I could understand Michael Martin's Kawhi is expected to be in the lineup. We'll get to that in a second. Super 6 go saying Magic -7. Got it early. Fred Gialli leaning towards the Magic under. I can understand backing the Magic here. I can understand backing the Magic early. I'm going to make a decision on how to handle that this afternoon. I'm definitely leaning towards the Magic and leaning towards the Magic early. I think that is a nice spot. Let's let Bada Boom lead us into the Raptors game. Said, and Viper NB on Magic first quarter and first half. Bada Boom liking Raptors to destroy. Raptors -4. Let me tell you, that will be the first spot on this card. And I could have got 3.5s about 2 hours ago. Another mistake, not jumping on a line early. -4 and -103. I am taking the Raptors here. -4 and -103. Celtics coming off a disappointing 126-116 loss at Chicago on Saturday night. They've now lost 4 of 6. Marcus Smart said the game was embarrassing. Says each and every game becomes closer and closer to the end for us, and we haven't been playing to the best of our ability. It's frustrating because we know the potential that we have. Kyrie Irving says this Celtics team will be better in the postseason. He says everything's going to be fine. Says in the playoffs, when we can plan for a team, prepare for a team, I still don't see anybody beating us in 7 games. They've been playing without Aaron Baines, and they miss him. They're 4-4 without Aaron Baines. He's still dealing with a foot injury, not expected to play Tuesday. He's the only Celtic out of the lineup. Raptors coming off that Kawhi Leonard missing without Kawhi Leonard loss Sunday at home. Very disappointing, very ugly game to the Magic. Let's see what Tom Marino says. He says Boston plays selfish basketball against weak teams, but against top teams they play together. Boston's been great straight up and against the spread. Against top teams, I'm on them +4. Tom Marino saying Toronto's still figuring out chemistry with Gasol. Daryl Lyles says I'm on Celtics and Thunder. I am on the Raptors to play very well here at home and bounce back. Kawhi Leonard averaging 31.7 points, 9.7 boards in 3 games against the Celtics this year. Raptors have beaten the Celtics 7 straight times at home. Last time they lost to the Celtics at home, April 4th, 2015, and it's not going to happen tonight. Yes, we're breaking in Gasol and Jeremy Lin. We signed Jody Meeks to a 10-day contract. We don't have Van Fleet in the lineup. I absolutely love this spot, and I'm not afraid of the Celtics stepping up. If this was home in Boston at TD Garden, maybe something different. Here, I love Raptors -4, and I am jumping on it. You got Moss says instead of making $20 bets, make $1,000 bet on South Carolina -1. Well, I'm going to take that note. And Dan B says, with that being said, I don't see the Celtics beating the Raptors tonight. Either do I. I'm on the Raptors -4 with Michael Martins and a bunch of others here. And Mally Mouse says, Boston ain't it right now. 4-4 without Baines in the last 8. We got a bounce back spot for the Raptors at home. This game's going to be mayhem. It's going to be nationally televised. God, I love this spot. Love this spot. King Rail, no, you're getting better than NHL, and you're getting better than MLB. I think we can roll together. Okay, let's move on to Thunder at Nuggets. I have a lean towards the Nuggets. I want to take the Nuggets. I know when you're dealing with the Thunder and Nuggets, let's take a quick look at line movement and total movement. But when you're dealing with Thunder and Nuggets, it's how do you slow down the Thunder? And the Nuggets didn't have Gary Harris in the lineup the last 2 times they played the Thunder. And they took care of him. See, with Gary Harris in the lineup, he's their best perimeter defender. He can slow down Westbrook, who's absolutely on fire right now. Thunder at Nuggets. Let's take a quick look at what the line movements are. Denver -3. Gone down from 4.5. Money coming in on OKC, the total rising. So the Boston total goes down. The Orlando-New York total goes down. But the Oklahoma City-Denver total goes up. Opens at 235 on BetOnline. Now we have 237.5. That market move makes me uncomfortable. Anthony S. saying Nuggets Thunder under. He's not afraid to go against that. Brian Watson backing the South Carolina play. Okay, let's break this down more. So the Thunder take a 3-day break. We're going to have my man Drew Martin joining us very, very soon here. Thunder get a 3-day break after that tough home and home. Talk about taking a shot in the heart. I had the Jazz on the money line at plus 165 when they lost 148-147 in double overtime to this Thunder team. Then the Thunder come back and lose Saturday night to the Kings 119-116. Nuggets are coming off their 4th straight win, a dominant 123-96 home victory over the Clippers. Addis Ababa liking the Nuggets to start slow, saying I like first half OKC. Tom Marino says Schroeder looks hurt, playing horribly, had injuries. OKC starters are playing well, but OKC's getting nothing from the bench. Denver is much deeper. Nasty Nate disagreeing with me says Boston Celtics are the play. Tom Marino says at 3, I think there's value with Denver. I do too, but I do not like going against these market moves. Millsap looking very good. Coming off a game, 21 points, 16 boards, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Nuggets are 20-7 since late December. Nuggets lead the Thunder by 3 games in the division. They won the first 2 games of the season series. One more victory, they clinched the tiebreaker. The Thunder are a tough team to slow down, but Gary Harris can do it. Russell Westbrook coming off a 41-point, 10-board performance against Sacramento. He's 128 points his last 3 games. Trey Lyles out Tuesday versus OKC. Thunder are a healthy squad. I'd love to hear, King says, hard to fade Denver at home. I would like to be on the Nuggets, and I would like to be on the Raptors. Keep it simple. Take these 2 home squads at very low spreads that I think are going to take care of business. And I'm going to. I'm going to go against the market move. Let's get it right now here at SBR Odds. I'm going to go against the market move, and I'm going to take these Nuggets -3 and -105 available at Heritage. -3, -105. I'm on it. Okay, so I'm on Nuggets -3. I'm on the Raptors -4. And just before we move on to our man Drew Martin, who's going to bang out some very big games. We've got Duke versus Virginia Tech, Wisconsin versus Indiana, Texas A&M versus LSU. We need to quickly talk about the Lakers' playoff chances. We talked a lot about this last week when we were all together in LA, and it's getting worse fast. After the Lakers lose to the Grizzlies, they have a projected record of 40-42, an 18% chance of making the playoffs. The Clippers and Spurs are projected to tie for 7th with 44-38 records. The Clippers have a 75% chance of making the playoffs. The Spurs have an 80% chance of making the playoffs. The Kings are projected to end the year tied with the Lakers, 40-42. They have a 16% chance of making the playoffs. That has changed fast. If we were talking after the Lakers, which we watched that game against the Rockets, some questionable calling from Foster late, giving all the charges to Harden. With questionable calling, everything. And Michael Martin says Lakers will make the playoffs. King Rail says, I'll be giving a Lakers eulogy on tonight's Kings Court. And Brooke Jordan says Lakers are done. Now, let's take a quick look at what we'll see the Lakers, who they'll be up with this remaining schedule. They have New Orleans tomorrow at home. Milwaukee on Friday. You can almost pencil in a loss from Milwaukee. Saturday, they're at Phoenix. That's the second half of a back-to-back. If you give them the New Orleans game, they're 2-1 there. Then they play at home versus the Clippers. That's their 3rd game in 4 nights. The Denver at home, that's their 4th game in 6 nights. Then they get a break, but they have to play the Celtics at home. This is a tough remaining schedule. 18% chance the Lakers make the playoffs. Mally Mal says Lakers been done. I've been telling you all that. Tom Marino says Lakers not making the playoffs. Ron Lawton says, I watched LeBron stand around on D last night and he's calling out the team. Shake my head. Brooke Jordan says LeBron is more interested in making movies in LA than playing basketball. Darm Regis says, do the Lakers even practice defense at all? Carlos Barros says, LeBum is done. So that's what's up. We'll keep an eye on the Lakers' playoff chances, which right now stand at 18%. And without further ado, let's introduce our man, Drew Martin, in the house. Drew Martin, I pray your sound is rolling. Drew, how you doing right now?
Jimmy, I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you having me back on. I believe the sound's a lot better. So excited to get after this college basketball slate, man.
Yes, we absolutely love having you on our show. We know you have been smashing here with us. Everybody giving you love in the chat. I love seeing that as well. Well, let's get right to it. Let's hop on to SBRodds.com. Let's get the NCAA basketball. Let's get the spreads and totals. There's a big, juicy card here. We have Drew Martin breaking it down on this show, and then on Late Show, we have Maxwell Smart breaking it down. And may I say, Drew, I've heard some rumblings that you and Max might be getting together for March Madness, and I think that is extremely exciting. I think you guys will work so well together, and I think that's must-watch basketball coverage, so I hope that comes through, and I'm very excited about hearing those rumblings. Let's start with Duke at Virginia Tech. Opens Duke -5 at BetOnline. BetOnline now has Duke -3.5. Money coming in on Virginia Tech. You can still get 4s, but 3.5s at 5 times. At Bookmaker, at BetOnline, at Heritage. The total opens up at 145.5 and is now down to 142.5 across the board. Big boy basketball tonight. Duke at Virginia Tech. What are you thinking here, Drew?
Yeah, Jimmy, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. This is a big-time game here. Zion Williamson, obviously the story. Everything I've read, he's going to be out tonight. And Jimmy, you know, he went down versus UNC, big spectacle. Everybody knew about it. And they had 87 possessions versus UNC. It was going up and down the court. And really, they didn't have time to prepare for that game without him. So I don't put a lot of stock into that. Next game out, they went against Syracuse and just had 66 possessions. That's more than a 20-possession change just from game to game. That's very rare in college basketball. Also putting that up, they're going against Virginia Tech, who does run a lot of zone under Buzz Williams. So it's not the same zone, but it's a similar style, a slower game. And I'm just going to cherry pick a couple games from their February slate in the ACC. Virginia Tech had 53 possessions versus NC State. They had 58 possessions versus Clemson, and they had 59 possessions versus UVA. It doesn't take a math major to realize it's tough to get into the mid-140s, even low 140s, with under 60 possessions, heck, even 65 possessions. It takes a lot of scoring per possession to get there. You know, Zion being out, that's over 20 points, 9 rebounds. You know, above the rim athleticism out of your lineup. I think it's going to be really tough for Duke to put up enough points, and also Virginia Tech. They're not going to push the pace as well. So I got 1 unit on this game on the under of 143.5. Like you said, it's been moving all morning towards the under. I think the market is on to some of these findings right here in the slower pace with Zion Williamson being out. So, Jimmy, I got a full unit on the under in Duke, Virginia Tech tonight.
I like it. I like it. The market likes it. We all watched. All the low baggers in LA got together on that last Saturday at the Parlor in Hollywood, and we watched that Syracuse-Duke game. We watched it with about 70 or 80 Syracuse alums, and Duke got up for that game. There was no doubt about Duke getting up for that game. Tom Marino says here, I'd lean to Virginia Tech. Duke got up for Syracuse off a loss. I don't see them getting up for this game. But Jansen says VTech will not win. Fred Gialli with you on the under 143.5. Jansen Bonzen, Duke rolls. Interesting stuff. Rob Rogers says, Jimmy, got a business email? You know I do. JimmyTheBag at hotmail.com. I've stuck with Hotmail through the tough times. Drew, on the under 143.5, has beaten a line move. Mr. Parlay says Duke is an under team all day. Wow. Wow. Very, very interesting stuff. I like your spot. LBA Sports says VTech, too many injuries. Mally Mal says Zion is a big difference clearly, but I won't even be betting this game. Drew, on the under, if you had a free bet to make on a side, where would you go?
This is a tough one. I mean, gun to head, I guess I would I'd go with the more talented team in the Dukies here. I think they're better coached, and they got more NBA players even with Zion out, in my opinion. So I would go with Duke to cover this number, Jimmy. I know that they've struggled from 3, but still, it's the more talented team, kind of a buy low opportunity, in my opinion.
Brooke Jordan says under may be the best place. I don't trust the 3.5 at all. All right. I love that start. Getting off to a great start. Drew is on the under 143.5 full unit. Duke versus Virginia Tech. Let's move on to Wisconsin versus Indiana. Let's get a good look at Indiana, I should say. Wisconsin, number 19th ranked at Indiana. Opens at -2.5. In the morning, about 2 hours ago, it was 1.5s across the board. Money coming back in on Wisconsin. It's now 2s across the board. BetOnline still hanging at -1.5, but juiced to -118. The total opens very low at BetOnline. 121. Now, I know Wisconsin slows the pace down. That's a very low total, 121. And it's shot all the way up to 126.5. A 5.5 point move to the over in Wisconsin at Indiana. What are you thinking here, Drew?
Jimmy, my initial thoughts, especially seeing this up into the mid, even getting up there even more of 120s. I think we're seeing, 126 you said. I would look towards Wisconsin toward the under again. Sidewise in this game, Wisconsin's one of those teams. I like their point guard. What's his name? Metric Trice, point guard. He's quick. He makes plays happen. I think he's a really tough guard. But their offense is so much just, Ethan Happ has to touch the ball. He's a great player, well-coached guy, except for the free throws. I mean, it's a joke watching him to go to the free throw line. He's under 50%. I almost think if it's a close game at the end, should he even really be out there if they have a small lead, because he struggles so much from the free throw line. It's actually funny to watch. But Indiana, on the other hand, they're 1-12 in their last 13 games in the Big Ten, but they're a lot better than that. They're staying in games. They're still fighting hard. So it's not a team that's given up on the season. They're playing hard. They are only 65% from the free throw line. They do get back on defense. They don't let a lot of transition points, which also makes for longer possessions. I think defensive-wise, they're in the 300s in terms of how fast their defensive tempo is. Wisconsin, on the other hand, is in the 340s in terms of tempo overall. So I think this is going to be not many possessions in the game, longer possessions. And as we get up here to 126, I still don't think it's high enough at this number. But if you made me bet this game, Jimmy, I would be on the under.
You would be on the under going against a giant market move. A giant market move. Let's take a look at what the guys in the chat are saying. Tom Marino Tomer says, Indiana is finally better. Good size. They played well. Teams have figured out how to defend Hap since the Illinois game. Tom Marino's on Indiana plus 2.5. You got Moss says, just take Wisconsin. They're better. LBA Sports says, fake line move. Take the under. Books are bluffing with that line move, trying to scare the public off the under. Bluff. Tom Marino says, Indiana has 2 first-round picks. They're finally figuring it out. My man Super Cisco 1313, Frankie knows, says Wisconsin. Alex Malbury, Wisconsin money line. You got Moss says Indiana is just bad. 1-4 last 5 games at home. Raymond Scott, these 2 teams haven't played to this low of a score in the last 5 meetings. Wow, you got Moss. Indiana is better at every position. I see Indiana having a tough time trying to score buckets. Tomarino, Indiana's playing much better recently. Young team playing better. And Maxwell Smart writes Hoosiers in giant writing. So we have people on both sides of the fence. Drew liking the under, going against a giant 5.5 point market move. First off, will you be betting that? Is that an official pick? And again, if you had a free play on the side, who would you take?
Jimmy, no, I have not bet it yet. So I got the 1 unit on the first game we talked about, Duke, Virginia Tech. However, on this game, I have not bet it yet. Sidewise, Wisconsin, Indiana. Like one of the low baggers you were just talking about said, I think Wisconsin's just the more talented team. It's another buy low opportunity. I know it's tough to win games in the Big Ten on the road, and Indiana is a lot better than their record. But offensively, Ethan Happ can still put the ball in the bucket, not on the free throw line. I think they do that enough. Point guard Trice makes enough plays. If you made me bet it, I'd be on the Badgers minus the short number here, Jimmy.
Interesting. Backing the Badgers. Tom Marino, though, says Wisconsin is nowhere near as athletic as Indiana. Morgan is a top 14 pick. Romes is a first rounder as well. Tom Marino says Trice and Davidson are 3-star recruits. Very, very interesting breakdown here. People on both sides. And no official pick on this game from Drew Martin, though a lean towards the under. That's bounced all the way up to 126.5, and a lean towards these Badgers. And Maxwell Smart says, beware of Nate Roovers of Wisconsin. I want that as my low bag play of the day. Wow. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, let's keep rolling right along, Drew. Now we have a big game at LSU. Texas A&M at LSU, number 13th ranked LSU. Texas A&M opens as 12-point dogs, and they've stayed there, although money's coming back on LSU because earlier it was just 11.5 across the board. Now all the 12s have popped back up. This total has dropped from 153 to 148 or 148.5. The big question I have first is, Drew, can you trust LSU as a double-digit favorite?
They are at home, Jimmy, and an interesting aspect here. They've been in Baton Rouge about 10 days. They haven't had to leave for any road games in the close future here, or in the close past. Going against Texas A&M, it's a Texas A&M team that I just don't think is very good. They turn the ball over a bunch. They struggle from three. They struggle from the free throw line. A lot of the metrics that I put a lot of emphasis in, this Aggie team just doesn't do very well. LSU, on the other hand, a lot of practice time, enough time to prepare for this game. Being at home, it is a tougher place to play, in my opinion. You make me bet this one, Jimmy. I would be on LSU. These two 9 o'clock games, I know we had to talk about them. I don't have a strong enough opinion to put a unit on it. So I got a unit on the first game we talked about, Duke, Virginia Tech. But this last one, if you made me bet it, I would be on LSU minus the big number. But like you said, it's double digits. It's a conference game. Just haven't liked it enough to get there as of now.
Fred Gialli liking a shootout in the LSU game. Last two meetings in Baton Rouge have gone over. LSU over 148.5. Going directly against, my man Fred going directly against this big market move towards the under. What does this move from 143 opener at BetOnline down to 148.5 make sense, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of across college basketball, Jimmy. I don't know if you've been watching the market so much, but it's happening a lot more times of late. Just pushes towards the under. It's I see it a lot in college basketball when you're watching these games. The guards pulling it out. Not as many foul calls of late. And in conference play, these teams kind of have the mentality of not to lose instead of push it. And of course, we're seeing the bigger money earlier in the day push a lot of these games towards the under. I think this game falls in that category, especially when you get up over 150. That takes a lot of possessions, a lot of points per possession in college basketball to make that happen. When you have Texas A&M that struggles from three, struggles from the free throw line, that's a lot of missed opportunities for one of the squads to get to a high number. So I agree with the move towards the under.
Agreeing with the move towards the under. My man Raymond Scott says the under move so solid, but it's gotten away. You can't go under anymore. Wow, very interesting big 3 games on the slate. So right now we have Drew backing the under 143.5 in Duke versus Virginia Tech. If he had to make a move, he would take Wisconsin against Indiana. And again, if he had to make a move in the Texas A&M LSU game, it would be LSU, and it would be towards the under. But those aren't official plays. The only one is Duke versus Virginia Tech under 143.5. Well, we got some more time left, Drew. What else are you looking at on this big NCAA card?
Yeah, Jimmy, in this 9 o'clock range, got another one here in the SEC. We got Arkansas at Kentucky, SEC Network game. This Arkansas team, they've really struggled. They push the pace, and they just don't have the talent offensively. You talk about this Arkansas sports program. They're in the SEC West in football, kind of against the big players there, and they're up against it in football. We're seeing it again in basketball. Not that the future for Arkansas can't be better, but it's like they're up against it, against the more talented teams in the SEC in basketball. I think they're going to be up against it. I think this Kentucky team is still underrated in the marketplace. I know I've been saying that for weeks here on your show, and they have been money makers. If you've been betting Kentucky, a young team, Calipari, he might be a scumbag off the court, but on the court, he can coach these young kids. They're now, these freshmen, I would view them a lot as sophomores. We're talking about a big number here, 15.5. I just think the market is off on this Kentucky team pricing them. I think this number needs to be like 19. I'm serious, Jimmy. And you know, when the numbers get bigger here, you can get a little bit more volatility in the market. And I think this one is going to continue to go up. Their defense has been good. I agree with the point move towards the under, but even more so, I like this Kentucky team at home to blow out Arkansas. I see this a 20-point victory for Kentucky. I put a unit Kentucky minus 15.5.
Wow, yeah. Opens at Bet Online at minus 18 and quickly goes down to minus 15.5 at Bet Online. Interesting. If you think there's going to be a blowout, let's see what the first half is looking at right now in the Kentucky spot. 4th-ranked Kentucky at home here. Minus 9. First half, open at 9.5, minus 9. Interesting look. Drew backing Kentucky in this spot. What else are you looking at right now, Drew?
And also, Jimmy, keep in mind, Kentucky hits their free throws. So full game, you know, I still like Kentucky, especially being at home. I would think that more calls go their way than not. TCU, West Virginia, a couple things I'll point out. West Virginia, you know, I lost a couple times on them, Jimmy, just because their half-court offense has been so terrible this season. But this team's still fighting. They're you know, they might not be the most talented team, but they're just not Fade City, West Virginia I'm talking about. So be careful laying the 3.5 there with TCU. Miami laying 6 on the road. I don't think Miami should be laying 6 to anybody. I'm looking towards Wake Forest. Haven't got there yet. Iowa, Ohio State. I know Iowa's the ranked team. They have the 22 in front of them. And they're catching points, which, you know, from a Blimps view, you'd be like, oh, why wouldn't I take that? But Iowa, they're just not that good. They're not that good defensively. They don't have enough athletes on the team. The Hawkeyes are not a team I'm going to be looking to bet down the stretch here and in March. I think they'll have an early exit in the tournament. And also Buffalo, you know, laying another big number, but against Akron, I don't think Akron's very good in the MAC. So I would look to get on Buffalo, a team that I think can make a run in March and kind of get themselves together here going towards the end of the season. Haven't bet it yet, but looking towards Buffalo minus the big number as well.
It was a wild matchup between Akron and Buffalo. Last matchup, the Zips slowed it down so much. They seemed to be the only team, and they were at home, and they've never beaten a ranked team in the history of the school. But it seemed like they were slowing it down. It was bothering Buffalo. Buffalo only wins by 7, but you see is Buffalo smashing this spot. Very, very interesting stuff. A lean towards Wake Forest, but want to take more time. He's got a lean towards Ohio State, but wants to take more time. Also, you liking West Virginia here. Now, Drew, there's been a ton of talk in our chat by guys I really respect. One of them, You Got Mossed, saying South Carolina is the lock of the year. South Carolina opens up as a pick'em at BetOnline now, minus 1.5 at home to Alabama. A lot of people talking about South Carolina here. You have any read on these two squads? Do you see what You Got Mossed is seeing?
I haven't really been involved with either. I'm not a big Alabama guy as far as looking to bet on them. I just haven't got there a bunch with them. I bet them once, lost with them, so kind of a little bit scarred. South Carolina, I don't think that team's very good either. I just don't think either of these two teams, you know, I kind of have fade marks on both of them, and I've noticed in the past in my handicapping, when that happens and I try to get involved, it's like betting two bad teams in football. It just becomes very volatile, so I tend not to spend a lot of time in that. But you know, gun to head, I'd probably bet the under, to tell you the truth, just because two not as good teams. I tend to think correlate with the under.
Two not as good teams correlating with the under. Interesting. We'll be breaking these games down heavy with Maxwell Smart. You know, I see this as a spot where we can get Maxwell Smart a little earlier than normal and really focus on this card on the late show. But absolutely incredible job. We've got to wrap up here, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you quickly if you think North Carolina, this spread at 11.5 hasn't moved all day. Syracuse at North Carolina. North Carolina is rolling right now. You think North Carolina covers this 11.5?
This is a tough one, Jimmy. I spent a little bit of time on this, just, you know, contrasting styles. UNC going to push it. Syracuse going to slow it down, play zone. 11 at home, I would look to be on UNC. Syracuse, it's a tough matchup. However, sometimes it can be a little tricky when you're playing game after game, and then Syracuse all of a sudden throws that zone at you. It can change it up. But this is a tough one, Jimmy. I would look to be on UNC minus the points, but no, I didn't get there, man.
Didn't get there. Going to study it this afternoon. Looking forward to hear more of your study. And we are so lucky to have you on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings. So, Drew's official plays: Duke versus Virginia Tech soon. Duke versus Virginia Tech under 143.5, and Kentucky at minus 15.5. Drew, where can we find you on Twitter, and what else are you up to this week?
At Drew Martin Bets on Twitter. I'll be back tomorrow. If you're gracious enough to have me, Jimmy, all the low baggers out there, man. Sorry for the difficulties with the sound. Hopefully you didn't hear the plays. I didn't do well yesterday. Lost a couple units. But anyway, Jimmy, sometimes that's the powers that be. Just my plays weren't good yesterday, and sure enough, the sound wasn't good, so it might have been a good thing. Anyway, hopefully today get it 2-0, 2-unit up with Kentucky and Duke Virginia Tech under the total. Jimmy, thanks for having me on. Best of luck with your bets as well, man.
Thank you. It's been a rough week and a half for me. I expect to turn it around. Here went 4 for 4 in NCAA basketball yesterday. Was 4-2 going into that Kansas K-State game, but took it right in the heart of the khakis there. Drew, you are a great capper and a great guy. Can't wait to have you on the show tomorrow. Shout out to our man, Drew Martin. Well, we got a big card. We got a lot of work to do this afternoon, and we are going to hammer this late show. Hopefully, with Ski Profit, I'll be talking to Ski, hooking up, making sure we got him, and then also with our man, Maxwell Smart. So everybody in our chat, thank you so much for joining us. Brooke Jordan saying, what about the Buffalo-Akron first half under? I just don't think that Buffalo will have the same ability to slow down the pace, but I'm going to be talking with Max about that game, Brooke, and so we're going to have him smash it in the late show. Shout out to all you guys in the chat. Noli Knows, Vegas Gun, West Coast, Elliot V, you got Moss, Raven in the Desert, Joe and Nisi. All you guys, we can't do this show without you. Shout out to Brooke Jordan. All you guys, Sasha Taljaard. All you guys, Mr. Gokster. All you guys, love you guys so much. Let's get to work. But most importantly, Leche, Alos Bookmakers.